how are we in week 3 of Preptober already? So you have your cast of characters, you have your beginning, your middle, and your end, your little bit of story structure, and you are itching to start writing. But if you're following the NaNoWriMo rules, starting actual writing, putting actual words on the page is cheating. So I have a really fun activity that helps you get into the world of your story, world builds the whole thing a little bit, and gets you sort of excited about your story before outlining, which is next week. And I ask for you to stick around to the end so that I can help you make this year's NaNoWriMo the best NaNoWriMo. Hi, I'm Jennifer Gregson, a book coach who uses tarot to help writers start and finish their novels, all with a smile on their face. I get it. You're itching to get started, but we're not there yet. So how do we keep that momentum going? How do we keep excited? How do we get into the world of our story a little bit without writing too much? Let's draw a map. I have some examples for you. Are you writing a fantasy novel? Then draw a map of this new land. It can be as detailed as you want. You can include where the villain does X and where the protagonist meets the love interest. Or it can just be sort of like, here's the journey from X to Y to Z. Writing a sci-fi novel? Map out the star chart. Map out the course that your heroes take amongst the stars. Writing a contemporary romance, use an actual map of the city your book is set in to map out where your lovers have their first date, their first argument, their first, depending on how spicy your book is. You can get as detailed as you need. So you get the idea. You can do this a bunch of different ways. You can use a piece of paper and you can use markers, crayons, watercolors, stickers, doodles, or you can use it digitally using an app like GoodNotes or Procreate. You can use real life maps. You can print out maps of the city. You can actually go buy maps if you know where to do that. You can get as granular as you would like with this process, and it is super, super fun. So I have a couple of examples for my NaNoWriMo project using the app GoodNotes. So let's make a couple of maps for my NaNoWriMo project. So I am using a digital notebook here in GoodNotes on my iPad, and I'm going to be using my Apple Pencil. And this is just a screen recording because I do not have a really great setup to film over my shoulder or on my desk. So I'm just going to do a little screen recording of how I make these. Now, again, you can use regular paper, colored pencils, maps, markers, stickers. You can use real life maps. You can see that I'm going to start here with a subway map of New York City. This is just a PDF that I pulled into GoodNotes, and all of my story is going to take place in mostly Queens with a few things in Manhattan and possibly Brooklyn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what subway stops all of my characters live at. So I'm going to zoom in and start with Queens. So I figured out that one of the characters is going to live in Jamaica. Queens, I'm going to have this be her stop right here. And then I'm going to have the other one live in Forest Hills, which I live very close to, so I know more about. So I'm going to say Forest Hills. And then I want one of them to live in Astoria. And there's a couple of different subway stops here for Astoria. I like this Astoria Boulevard. I've been there before. And then one of the characters lives in Brooklyn. So I'm going to come down here to Brooklyn. So here's the Queens, Brooklyn divider line. And I know this area quite well. My husband's cousins used to live near here. And I really like this stop right here. And then one of the characters is going to live over here in Manhattan. And they're going to live at the 77th Street stop, which I used to live at a long time ago. So that's how I'm just going to use this. I may come here later and decide, like, because I think they might all meet here, kind of where this big subway stop is here, or down here at this Queens Plaza. So I'm going to also circle those. So this is how I would use something like this for a city. I also downloaded this funky Queens map It's not the best, but it kind of works. And I can see like where in relationship people will be. So like the one person will live in Jamaica, here's Forest Hills, and here's Astoria. So you can kind of see, and then I think they would be meeting somewhere here in that. Let's go back to the map. Kind of like where these two are, Jackson Heights, Roosevelt, and the Queens Plaza. Those are kind of like here and so this is the hard part, but I can kind of figure that out. So that's how I would do if I pulled in like an actual map. And my characters all live, like I said, here in either Queens, Brooklyn, or Manhattan, and they all kind of live in the same general neighborhoods. And then I have this Queens map so I can kind of see where everything is in relationship to each other. Like these really aren't that far. This is pretty far, but if you're going into Manhattan, which would be like over here, so there's that. Okay, now let me show you how I would draw something specific. So Ruby's bedroom, I want to kind of figure out where things are going to be. So let's say I'm just going to draw a little box here. Bedrooms in Queens are pretty small. So I'm just going to make a little square. And I don't know if this is a square because I didn't count. But yeah, that's pretty good. So I have a little box. I'm going to say the door is here. So the door opens up here. So that's the door. And then I'm going to have two windows over here. That's a window. And that's a window. And then I'm actually going to have her bed come out this way. Nothing is in proportion, as you can see. This is just quick and dirty. Pillows are here. And I'm going to have a little side table here and a little side table here. I'm going to have her closet or her wardrobe be here. So we're just going to put closet. Okay. And then I'm going to have a little desk be right between the windows. So this is the desk. I'm not sure if anything's going to be on this wall. You might put a dresser over here, maybe a TV. So we can kind of play with that. But that's pretty good. That bed is way too big, as you can see. We might decide there's like a little throw rug here. That would be pretty. And that's how I could do something like that. And this would be Ruby's bedroom. And then I could maybe put notes here like hides magical items in bottom of closet. It's like, where is that in relationship to the door and the window? One window has a fire escape. So I need to figure out which one, because that could be really handy. So we're going to say it's this one. So I'm just going to put like stairs. That's the fire escape. And I'm going to say that her AC unit is right here. Her air conditioner unit, because that's what we usually have here is window units. So I kind of can see, so one window has the fire escape and one has AC. And that's kind of how I would start taking some notes. The other thing you can do is especially if you're designing a whole magical land. So let's say that our magic in this book comes from somewhere and I want to just create a whole world. What I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to start drawing a landmass. Okay. And then I'm going to add a river. That kind of cuts the land in half. I think that would be fun. And then there's going to be a big bridge that crosses that right here. And there's going to be a forest on this side with trees. So I'm just going to kind of go like this. As you can see, I am not a great drawer when it comes to these maps. This is a big forest. And then over here is going to be a town. So I'm going to draw some houses. And then, like I said, this is water. So let's make that really, really abundantly clear and put some like light blue lines here. And then you could figure out like what goes around the outside, but this is my sort of magical land. And as you can see, I am not the best drawer in the world because that looks ridiculous. But you get the point that this is the town. Okay. and that this is the magical forest. And then again, you could put some bullet points down here and say the forest is where the potions are created, and the town has a quaint village feel. Okay, and that's how I would start that. Again, this map is nothing. This is as good as I would get. You could make your map as elaborate as you'd like. And then I would just start some bullet points, and I would do that either on the thing with the notes or on a separate piece of paper. Like, I'm going to go in and do some research about these 3 areas. I'm going to pull in the stuff here about Brooklyn and Manhattan, and maybe write down like who lives where, and then I could put little notes here. So I could drop down a little post-it note on my map near each place, and then write I think Ruby's going to be the one that lives here. So Ruby lives here. And then we could pull another post-it note in, let's say a blue one here for right here. And I could just put an arrow, and then they meet here, but where? So then that's a little note for myself. So you can see that. And I have different post-it notes. So if you actually printed this out, you could do the same thing. I could have different post-it notes for each color, for different things. You can use different colors. You can do a lot of different things. So I invite you to try this. I think it's super, super fun. It gives you a way to be creative. It gives you a way to get into the world without worrying about starting to write. So I hope that that was helpful for you to see how I actually do some of that. And yes, I know my drawing is atrocious, but it was super fun, and it actually gave me some good ideas about what I could do with that magical forest. So once I have my maps done, I like to spend a little time in the world. I started that process with those bullet points, but what I'll do is I'll sort of collect all of that into one document or one place, and I'll actually start writing some bullet points. Now, be very careful. Your bullet point descriptions can start getting a little wordy. And on one hand, that's good because you could grab some of that later when you're doing some descriptions, but you don't want to start like really, really writing. That can get a little tricky. So I try to keep it to bullet points. I try to keep it short and sweet and to the point, but you do you. So now that you have your characters, you have that beginning, that middle, that end, and you have some world building done, you are in an excellent position to do outlining, which is next week. So just a few short weeks and we're going to start writing. It's exciting, it's exhilarating, and if you are thinking of doing NaNoWriMo, then I invite you to join my free accountability group. I'm going to send weekly emails, weekly check-ins. Starting in November, we're going to have weekly Zoom writing sessions so that we can up our word count together. And don't worry if you think you've missed anything, because as soon as you get started, I will send you a link to the Dropbox folder that has all of the workbooks that I have sent so far. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave them down in the comments below, and let me know, what kind of map did you draw this week? I'd love to know. I hope everyone has a lovely day, and I will be back next week for outlining.